This is your Transmute Yourself weekly live show where we talk about topics related to fear of commitment so that you can create your own fulfilling relationship. And this is your host, Javier Peñalba. Welcome. Today we'll talk about the difference between what I call a free living style and a style based on fear of commitment. Now, you might know some people, or maybe even yourself, who are single or maybe are engaged in what they call like an open relationship, or maybe have multiple partners, or maybe you're simply single and you have different passions, different interests. Relationships are at this point of your life maybe not your priority, or you have a passion or a calling. For example, you have a spiritual calling to become a monk or a priest, anything like that, right? And as a result, you don't have a committed relationship. So the question here is, are all of these people going through fear of commitment, or is this lifestyle based on fear of commitment? And this is what we're going to be talking about today, because all of the people that I just mentioned, the profile, the patterns, right, are very similar to those of someone having fear of commitment. So it can tend to be a little bit confusing, and I have been asked that question a couple of times. So that's why I decided to do this topic today. So the main response here is no, or not necessarily. Not all of those people that are single or who have this type of not non-standard, let's call it, type of living style have fear of commitment. And the main way to know whether the person has fear of commitment or not having this type of lifestyle is the driver, what drives them to have that lifestyle specifically. So let's start with people who do not have fear of commitment and who have this lifestyle in which they might be single, or they're simply not engaged or committed in anything very close with relationships, right? And the driver for these people in general, right, if we try to characterize them generally, is the love of the experience, the love of whatever it is that they're experiencing that is not necessarily a relationship, that at that point of their life they're prioritizing. So what I mean by that is that they are having that type of lifestyle because it is a conscious choice, because they want to do it, and simply they decide to do so. So that's the opposite of what we will be talking about later, of people with fear of commitment. So these people that I'm talking about, I mean, everyone's different, right? And there may be thousands of different profiles, but in general, it could be that they love to travel, or they have a specific passion, as I said, and they want to invest more time on that, or whatever it is. They might have other people in their life that have influenced them to live like that. The culture, it can be 1 million types of factors, right? So not necessarily because of fear. But you can tell that they do not necessarily have fear of commitment if they have certain characteristics or peculiarities, such as maybe they might have many connections or many friends, for example, or depends on how extrovert they might be, right? But that could be the case, which compared to someone with fear of commitment is usually not the case. They usually have very little close connections. They might also not fear, for example, having contracts for buying a house or leasing a car or that type of thing. They might be okay with that. Now, another thing that might be interesting is that they might be very clear and very conscious of what they're doing, and they may be very straightforward and open about it. So for example, someone that enters on what they call an open relationship or an uncommitted relationship, they might simply state it from the beginning, like, look, I'm not looking for a very serious relationship at this point. I just want to have fun, and that's it, right? And not necessarily driven by fear. Again, it's simply what they want in that part of their experience, meaning in that part of their life. So they might be, again, straightforward. They might not have all of these remorseful or confusing thoughts. that someone with fear of commitment tends to have. Now, let's go with case two, right? Someone who has a fear of commitment type of living style, which is again either single, open relationship, or super engaged in different type of things, but not in love relationships. So, what is the main driving factor for them? As the name says, it is fear, right? So, people with fear of commitment, of course, have uh, the tendency to get away or to run away from commitment because they fear it. So, if you talk, how can you know then if it's one case or the other? Simply, well, it's something internal, right? You cannot really know it. It's got to be the person usually that knows because it's how they feel. If they feel fear, for example, when you talk to someone with fear of commitment about future plans in the relationship, or if you talk about a potential commitment, signing a contract for 3 months or 6 months for a specific program, or a house or whatever it is, and they start sweating maybe, or they just get jittery, they get nervous, they just don't want to talk about any further steps in whatever it is, especially in love relationships, then you or whoever that person is having a fear of commitment. And the lifestyle that they have is based on fear of commitment. It's not a conscious choice, it's being done to them by the fear. It's practically the fear deciding for them the lifestyle that they're having, because they might actually deep inside want to have a relationship. They might want to have a stability, like going to a specific country and living there for the rest of their lives, or at least for some time. But the fear of settling, or the fear of the expectations that there might be if they commit to something, or the fear of the rejection that there might be if they commit to something. There's many reasons, or simply the fear of losing their freedom and having someone control them, for example. Those things are so strong that they tend to run away from whatever situation, and then this fear, this feeling of nervousness that they feel in those moments simply runs their lives, and it's not again a conscious choice. Now, other things that you can also use to tell if it's someone or you yourself have fear of commitment is again a lower number usually of close relationships, a difficulty to open up, to set boundaries, to express yourself. You might have the tendency to simply swallow everything that you want to say, including your needs, because that is how you learned, or because of a certain fear that you have from your past. And that is again a symptom of fear of commitment, not of a conscious single or free living style. Let's see what else is important here. Something that I consider the path of self-realization in life. So life, in my opinion, gives us every type of experience in order for us to get to know ourselves better at our core, not just in our worldly identifications, but also in our consciousness, deep inside, right? And someone who might be going, let's go for case one. Case one is someone who doesn't have fear of commitment, but loves this lifestyle for one or another reason. That's where they are at in their own journey, right? In their process. And I tend not to judge this type of or anyone's path for that sake, because I think that everyone's path is perfect. So someone who's single at maybe they're 30, in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, and they consciously want to be single because simply they have other priorities, then it's perfect for them because that's what they're choosing, right? And at that point in their life, that's what it is. That's what they want, because really, if it is a conscious choice, it is so. It might be that at a certain point they find someone and they settle and they say, like, I've had enough of this traveling and this being single, and maybe I fall in love with someone, and they do so, and then they change their opinion because they don't necessarily have a fear of commitment, right? So again, every path is perfect. And if you think about it, even someone who's not in a close relationship, like married or whatever it is, they might have time to do other stuff that's important for the world, and we might need those people, right? So we cannot really judge anything because everything is happening, and it does provide something for the whole or the bigger scheme of things, and it is perfect as it is. Now, if we talk about people with fear of commitment, the fear is also part of their journey. This experience that they're going through is also something that they can use in order to get to know themselves better, and it is also part of their school of learning, so to say. The issue here is that when you let fear control your life, you're not living your life consciously anymore, right? And practically you're letting the fear control you and run your life, run the show practically. And that's not necessarily where we want to be. So again, the path is perfect, but there's an opportunity there to do something about it. And that's what I really want to encourage people with fear of commitment. If they know that they have a fear of commitment that is preventing them from living the life that they want, then maybe it is actually time to do something about it and to seek help, or to start asking themselves, what is it really that's making me so afraid? Or if you want, you can contact me as well, and we can explore how I can be of support to you. But again, even that path is perfect. Even someone that reaches their 50s, 60s, or 70s with a fear of commitment, that path is their path. And they have done things in their life that have helped other people, and it has been part of the whole, and it has been so because it had to be that way, right? At least in the past, because we cannot change it. Of course, if they want to do something about it now, that's the moment, if they want to, right? And if they find out that it is something that they have. The other issue is that people with fear of commitment tend to blame their fear or blame their lifestyle sometimes on others, on not finding the right partner, for example, or the trauma that they had, or maybe because their parents were one way or another. And those are the things that generate fear in the end, those experiences, and blaming and finding excuses. That's really not that helpful, right? So again, it is something that can be worked, and not necessarily, again, it's not necessarily something bad, but it is something that if you want to work on, you can. So there you have it. Those are the two profiles that I wanted to discuss today. The more free sort of lifestyle, they do it because it's a conscious choice, they want to do it, they love the experience that they're going through, it's not confusing for them, they know what they want. Someone with fear of commitment, they do it because of the fear, they're driven by the fear, they're not necessarily taking conscious choices. They might tell themselves many stories, many excuses, but if they feel deep inside, if they feel the fear when they are engaging in something that is committing to them, then that's the fear of commitment that's driving them. So where do you see yourself fitting more into which category? More into someone with a fear of commitment, or simply someone who has a free living style, and that's where you want to be at this point of your life? If you want, you can let me know in the comments, and I will see you very soon next week with our next Transmute Yourself live show. Thanks to everyone for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.